Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. I am Adam Weinrib. Juan Soto is in meetings right now. I can't get a hold of him. We're going to talk about potential suitors. It's the same suitors we already knew about, but we're handicapping the chances of the surprise teams really putting a scare into the Yankees and Mets. The Dodgers still seem out. Not ready to talk yet? That's fine. We'll talk about the American League East teams that are rattling their sabers for Juan Soto, as well as addressing the Angels signing the entirety of Major League Baseball at this point in time. They are the only team that makes free agent moves, except for the Red Sox and Justin Wilson. Hat tip to the Red Sox. The Yankees have benefited from the Rays' misfortune. They're moving on into another minor league stadium. Plus, we're going to answer your questions. We're going to give you some good news about the Baseball Insiders. Hop into the Discord in the All-Star channel. Get your questions in there or in the comments here. We're going to address the All-Stars first. We've got some programming notes, but before we move into all that fun stuff, Robert Murray, the fan-sided MLB Insider, is here. Robert, how are you doing, dude?
I am doing great. Finally broke some news this morning. I had been sitting on that Justin Wilson news for about 20 hours, but finally was able to report it this morning as I was walking Coop. So that's Coop's first scoop. Always exciting stuff, but it is good to be here. We have more stuff going on around the league. We'll be dissecting it all. Can't wait. We've got a huge football game tonight with the Eagles and the Commanders. No surprise whatsoever that I just mentioned that at the beginning of the show here, but I'm ready to talk some baseball. I'm ready to talk baseball with you, Adam. How you doing?
I am good. I will be at that Eagles-Commanders game. So if anybody has advice on how many layers is the right amount of layers, hit me up. The layers. But thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for joining us, Incline Pod, reminding me that we were all over Nestor Cortez being a bad option in the postseason. Oops, he was. But thanks for joining us, everybody. And here are the good news first before we move into any of this chatter. If you like the Baseball Insiders, if you like the MLB offseason, we know you do. We know you're here during the most fun time of year. You can now catch us 3 times a week through the end of the hot portion of the MLB offseason. And then in the future, we'll talk. You know, we're open to negotiations. We're like the Blue Jays. We're crashing the Juan Soto party. We'll talk. We'll talk to Scott Boras. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, typical time, Monday and Friday, 3:30 Eastern, the time that you're used to. We're going to move that up to 1 o'clock Eastern for the Wednesday show. But a lot of you followed us to 11:30 a.m. on Tuesday. So I have no doubt that the audience will be there when we're live, and we're excited by that. That's the best part about doing the show for all of you, getting able to interact, getting able to answer your questions. So thanks, everybody, for making it possible for us to do 3 shows a week. We are excited about that. If you want to join us between shows, 3 shows a week lessens the need for that, perhaps. But show up to the Discord. You can ask Robert and I questions between shows. We've got the Rumor Mill tier where you get access to Robert and myself to ask us Qs. You've also got the All-Star tier, which we're changing a little bit. I know we've gone in the past. We've talked about private streams. Those are no more. Those were once a month. People were able to hop in, but people also weren't really able to hop in. We'd get a couple people. We get people saying, I can never, your schedule's bad for me. I can't do it. I got to watch it retroactively. That's not really a perk, right? You're supposed to be able to ask us questions. You're just watching other people ask us questions on a Zoom recording. That's nothing. So now we're doing private Q&A sessions, blocking off an hour per week in the All-Star channel. It'll be Robert twice a month. It'll be me twice a month. And I'll be distilling what I hear from Robert, obviously, and also around the baseball landscape. You can ask me opinion cues, but Robert, twice a month, private Q&As where we're blocking off time in the All-Star channel, and the first one will be next week. So we'll find time for that. Shout out to everybody. If you're interested in joining the Discord at the All-Star level, now is a great time to do so. And if you're not subscribed to the Moonshot, why not? It's our weekly baseball email newsletter where the fan-sided MLB team, including Robert Murray, will break down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, and behind-the-scenes info. So join the Discord if you're into it. Get on the Moonshot if you're not. Now let's dive into the Juan Soto chase because I feel like a bunch of people are probably here to talk about that. I know we have Blue Jays listeners. I know we have Boston Red Sox listeners. And while the Mets and Yankees may still be looming, and while it seems like the Yankees get the last word here, Hal Steinbrenner and Aaron Boone and whatnot are going to fly in and see Juan Soto 4th in order, we're told. It does seem that these meetings have begun because we heard the Jays are first, the Red Sox are second. Red Sox Stats, who we love and who sometimes is in the comment section of this show, said the Sox momentum is building a little bit and their meeting is today and they're serious. So no better time. That would mean that the Jays have already met with Juan Soto. I don't know, but no better time than the present to dive into the reality of both of those teams' potential pursuits of this offseason's biggest free agent. So we'll start with the Jays because I'm not sure I understand getting this serious about Juan Soto without also getting serious about extending Vlad Jr. If you do both, you've got something. If not, I'm a little confused. It kind of feels like the Yankees going all in for 1 year like they just did and then leaving it up to the fates. But Bob Nightingale had the Jays as his favorites earlier this week. I'll give you the floor here to talk Jays and their potential pursuit of Juan Soto.
Yeah, so I think the Blue Jays should absolutely pursue Juan Soto. Like they have absolutely no reason not to, because I remember at the deadline last year, they made it abundantly clear to every single team that they interacted with that they were just going to end up moving, or that they wanted to just move their rental guys. That they even were signaling that they wanted to hold on to IKF. They ended up moving him to the Pirates, obviously. But they really wanted to compete in 2025. And that's why they held on to Vlad Jr. That's why they held on to Bo Bichette. And to me, when you have that stance, you absolutely have to go all in that next year, especially when you have Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette as free agents after the 2025 season. And I'm skeptical of their chances. I do think the Jays will make a push. But that being said, it's like, I'm really skeptical overall that it'll end up happening. And I don't think the Jays are going to have that kind of flexibility to add a big star like that. I could be wrong. But I just do not foresee it. And if you look at Juan Soto, what is he going to prioritize? Winning is one of the things that I think everyone can agree on, that he wants to win. And the Blue Jays are coming off an incredibly disappointing season last year. We're toward the bottom, if not at the exact bottom of the AL East. And they have Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette as free agents after 2025, as I said, and then if he wants to win, why would he want to go to a place where two of your best players are going to be free agents at the end of the first year of his potential contract? To me, that's why I'm skeptical of Soto and the Blue Jays. As I said, I think they'll be in. Clearly they are in, since they have met or will meet with Soto. I cannot confirm any timelines at my own end, but call me skeptical. And I still think that it's the Mets and the Yankees kind of really driving the bus here. So there's going to be other teams involved. It's going to be more than just those three, but that's my read as of right now.
I think, based on the comments and based on the internet buzz today, that we probably got some people here who want to hear better news about the Boston Red Sox pursuit of Juan Soto. Ryan Pizer right now saying, Sox and Jays are in it to drive up the price. Look, why wouldn't you be in it? If you're an American League East team with a budget and you can drive up the price for the New York Yankees, the Mets are presumably going to put that price pretty high. But if you're a big budget AL East team, you have no business not being in the Juan Soto chase, making the Yankees' lives miserable, at least putting the best foot forward for Scott Boras. Because as far as I can tell, the Red Sox, if they get Juan Soto, they don't get Juan Soto, they're going to want to talk to Boras again about high-profile pitching, about a number of his other clients, and there's really no better way of showing you're serious than hopping in the room talking to Juan Soto. Juan Soto also got some Red Sox fandom in his past, in his blood. He said this in previous interviews, that the Pedro and Manny and Poppy teams were his favorite teams. So, Red Sox internet, I don't even want to call it Red Sox Twitter anymore because apparently everyone's on Blue Sky now, but the Red Sox corner of the internet. All right. Well,
yeah, so not everyone.
So far, it's fun to play around in there. But the Red Sox corner of the internet feeling really bullish on Soto today. I would say you should feel good that they're having a meeting with Juan Soto that is not viewed sarcastically. They care. Then again, I'm not sure I can see them outbidding the Mets, and I still think that is important. So talk me through the Red Sox chances and what goes in all this.
Yeah, I think everyone at this point has realized that the Red Sox are going to be in position to spend this offseason. I do think it's funny, though, that we've all been talking about how the Red Sox are going to spend more this offseason than they have in previous offseasons, and then they go out and sign Justin Wilson as their first move. Gave him $2.25 million, as Rob Bradford first reported. A veteran guy there, but going back to Soto, I do view them as a team that will be in this. As I said on the last podcast, they love Juan Soto. That being said, who doesn't love Juan Soto? We're talking about a generational 26-year-old free agent who is going to be a future Hall of Famer. That's just a reality. But the one thing that I keep coming back to when it comes to the Red Sox and Juan Soto is, can I see John Henry outbidding Hal Steinbrenner? Can I see him outbidding Steve Cohen for Juan Soto? To me, that part is where I'm kind of struggling. And that's, I'm not trying to throw cold water on it for the Red Sox or Red Sox fans by any means. I do not want to disappoint you guys, but I also got to be real. We've seen evidence in years past that he will not go after like these, or that he will not pony up for the money for those big free agents or big players. We saw it obviously with Mookie Betts, that he ended up paying for Rafael Devers. But I'm a little skeptical that Henry's going to end up outbidding those two owners, especially considering how motivated the Yankees will be to re-sign Soto and how motivated Steve Cohen appears to be serious in this bidding. So we'll see. As I said, the Red Sox are indeed interested. I'm just a little skeptical on their chances.
I do love Red Sox fans after like 3 years of telling me John Henry never spends. Like all of a sudden now they're saying like, oh, he was going to make Billy Beane the highest paid GM. Why do people act like it's crazy he'd spend? Because you people were acting like it was crazy and saying he never spends. That's why. Come on. You said it. Anyway, I do think he should be in this. I keep coming back to the same thing you're coming back to. Paul Delivers commented Soto to Red Sox 13, 625 mil. Like my response to that is just, why wouldn't Steve Cohen beat that by a significant amount? Like, yeah, if 625 is the highest offer, like, yeah, the Red Sox should offer that for sure. But why wouldn't that? Looks like an offer Steve Cohen and Hal Steinbrenner should and would beat. So I don't know.
No, sorry. I was like responding to a text there real quick.
You got the Soto go text?
No, I have definitely not gotten any Soto go text. It's going to be a while for Soto to come off the board. Still, as I said on the last podcast, I believe, I think it's going to end up being around the winter meetings time when that talk really starts to heat up. But Boris is known for holding up the market, let me rephrase that. Boris is known for waiting out the market in hopes of getting the most money for his clients. And he's not afraid of waiting. We saw it last year, kind of bit him in the butt in certain cases, especially with Jordan Montgomery. But Soto is going to end up obviously dominating the talk. And I'm fascinated to see how it plays out. I think everyone in baseball is really kind of watching this one really closely because, I mean, once that happens, I think a lot of different dominoes are going to end up falling here. But it should be a blast. Info is coming in seemingly every minute on this one. Twitter is a wild place right now, but we'll try to deliver the facts to you. So that's what we do best on this show: facts and not fiction and all that good stuff.
I'll do the fiction. I think no. Look, I think the Red Sox, the argument is not hard. It's just trying to find a dollar value that you can pay that the Mets and Yankees can't or won't pay. If you can do that, then go ahead and trade Wilyer Abreu for Garrett Crochet. Go ahead and trade, Roman Anthony or Jarren Duran for that really high-end pitch. Talk to the Mariners. Get some really high-end pitching. Don't spend on Burns Snell. Spend on Soto. Trade your top-tier outfield talent for other teams' controllable pitching. It makes sense. You can get there. You just have to scare off the richest man in baseball, and also, like, if Hal Steinbrenner just lets the Red Sox sign Juan Soto at a reasonable price, like, he's going to jail. Like, he's not going to run the Yankees anymore.
No, you're not going to get Juan Soto for a reasonable price. I had one GM predict that Soto is going to end up getting 13 to 14 years for about 41-ish, 42 million a year. So I don't know exactly what that ends up coming out to, but that's a lot of dough. It's a lot of dough. But that being said, if you're the Red Sox, you can go for so many different options in the market where you're not going to have to pay that kind of a contract here. There's some good hitters available in free agency. I know Tyler O'Neill is a player who was with them last year, posted good numbers when he was healthy, especially at the start of the year. As I said, there's other options there. You can look at the high-end pitching market. You can look at a guy like Max Fried. You can look at a guy like Corbin Burns, who's obviously very familiar from that division, having pitched with the Baltimore Orioles last year. And we'll get into it a little bit later, but I am skeptical of Burns' chances of returning to Baltimore. I think he probably ends up going elsewhere. But as I've said repeatedly, I think the Red Sox will spend. I'm still skeptical of their chances on Soto, but will be on the record and saying it again. I am more optimistic about their chances of spending like like meaningful dollars this offseason than I have in years past. And I also, another thing, it just got announced by the Angels. I was trying to confirm it. That's what the text I was sending is the Kevin Newman deal is official. His contract is for 1 year, $2.5 million, with a $2.5 million club option for 2026 that it contains a $250,000 buyout. So that is news on the show. It has hit Twitter, I think. But that is news for all the people who are watching the show. So we appreciate you tuning in because you just got the scoop.
The Anaheim Angels are the only team that is currently active, other than, again, Justin Wilson, to the Boston Red Sox. Big spenders, opening up those wallets for Justin Wilson. But calling all Angels, as Train might say, my favorite band.
Great shout. That was a good shout by you.
Travis d'Arnaud loves Train, it would seem, right? Kyle Hendricks, Angel. Yeah. Kevin Newman, Angel. d'Arnaud, their biggest expenditure so far, though. SoCal local. I wonder what that says about their offseason plans, just a deal they couldn't pass up. I love d'Arnaud. I thought a lot of, pseudo contenders or wildcard teams were going to be contenders for his services. But here they go. He's an Angel, and Ron Washington gets reunited with a great piece.
Oh, absolutely. And so one thing I had heard coming into this offseason is that Ron Washington absolutely loved Travis d'Arnaud. And this has absolutely no impact whatsoever on a guy like Logan O'Hoppe. I think this is a further investment into O'Hoppe because d'Arnaud is one of the most respected veteran guys behind the plate. And he's seen many things. He's experienced many things over his entire career. And he's going to end up being in the ear of O'Hoppe. He's going to help him develop. He's going to end up teaching him different things that he has not experienced before. So I think this is an absolutely brilliant move by the Angels. I think they're doing a really good job of stockpiling different depth. I know it's not necessarily like the household big names, and Kyle Hendricks is at the tail end of his career. d'Arnaud is not the same player that he once was. Kevin Newman is not the most inspiring option in the entire world. But that being said, they're veteran guys. They will teach the young guys in the clubhouse exactly how to be pros. And it just is raising the floor of talent that they had on their bench. And I think that's a really smart thing by Perry. I think these moves are intentional. I think they're smart. I think this is only the beginning for the Angels, who, as I said at the start of the offseason, they're going to be aggressive. And they've done so in adding different pieces throughout the roster for depth purposes. I would imagine, I can guarantee they're not done. Perry is still very active on the phones. I asked someone with that team if Perry has slept this offseason, and his response was no one has. So they're hard at work. They're trying to do their thing, and I think the d'Arnaud move was a really smart move, and will only benefit the Angels and especially Logan O'Hoppe going forward.
They do bring in Sal Fasano as well, like the comments mentioned, one of my favorite people in baseball history to look at. So good to continue to see him in a big league dugout. Quick insight into the Pirates hitting coach hire. We'll get to some of your questions after that and open up Robert's notebook. I'm sure it's pronounced Matt Haig. There's no way it's not, but I'm going to pronounce it Matt Hogg. It's funnier that way. He seems to be fairly beloved in Toronto, moved up through the minor league ranks, coached it, up a level every year, is an assistant with the Jays last year, moves on, former Pirates prospect as well, sort of a high OBP quad A guy. And now it's his job to get the Pirates to make more contact. They make good contact when they make it, but they don't make enough of it. And now they've employed Haig, turned the page from Andy Haynes, but it took a while to hire him. So what can you tell us about the Pirates search and why they landed where they did?
I am so thankful the Pirates have finally hired a hitting coach, because that is the most prominent question that I got in the Discord. Is True. One of the Pirates going to hire a hitting coach?
And if you ask that, then kindly unsub from the Discord, but then resub because we love you. But just brief penalty.
Yeah, what Adam said. Every word he just said. But
please come back. But yes.
But this, to me, I've gotten really positive feedback from people around the league about this hire. Haig is known as a guy who is really good at developing young hitters. He's good at maximizing what they're good at. And to me, I think that was a really important thing for the Pirates, is they have a lot of really young hitters. And I think, especially a guy like Ke'Bryan Hayes, I think a different voice is going to be really important for him, because he's really done well defensively, but offensively, he has not met expectations in Pittsburgh. I think they were hoping, or actually I know they were hoping, when they ended up signing him to that extension, that he was going to taking a jump offensively, and he has not done that. I think a different voice is going to be really good for him and some of these other young guys. And internal improvement is going to end up being really important for Pittsburgh, because I am skeptical that they will spend a lot this offseason. I don't necessarily know how much flexibility Bob Nutting has given that front office, but I have a hard time seeing a significant investment from the Pirates this offseason unless something changes. And Haig is going to be the guy that's driving the bus there in terms of getting the most out of these hitters. And that being said, I also want to dive into Brent Strom. That is a really, 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 really good hire by the Pirates. And he is one of the most respected pitching coaches in recent memory. He has done an unbelievable job maximizing pitchers in both Houston and in Arizona. He's had just widespread experience throughout his entire career. And the fact that he's going to be working with Paul Skeens and Jared Jones and Mitch Keller and some of these other young pitchers on the Pirates, to me, that is incredibly exciting and will only make those guys better. He will be able to teach them things and have them just, I think he's going to end up unlocking, I should say, a different version of each of these pitchers. And I'm really excited to see the work that he does there. I knew they had been talking to him for a little while. I didn't realize it was done until it ended up getting dropped yesterday. But to me, that is between the hitting coach and then you also adding Brent Strom, that is a really strong start to the Pirates as winner. I think that's a job well done by that entire front office and by Derek Shelton as well.
And now it's time to start shopping in that $10 to $15 million bucket. Plenty of talent available there. Let's see if Bob Nutting, let's see if they have any money left in their budget after they spend on repainting over all those sell the team billboards. After they do that, let's see how much money they've got left, and they can potentially shop for some talent. Let's go to some questions. Want to go to the All-Star channel in the Discord first, as promised. Question: we got a two-parter from Punk Rock Poppy. Is the Giants' interest in Ha-Seong Kim legit, considering their payroll restrictions and his possible desire for a bounce-back contract? And what about the Dodgers? Are they in on Kim, or do they prefer Adames? So basically a two-parter. Kim, Giants, that's a long speculated fit. Dodgers and Kim, I know Bleacher Report just made that prediction. Kim might not be ready for opening day. So basically any thoughts on Kim's market and the Dodgers and Giants there specifically?
Yeah, it's a complicated market with him, especially since he's got that injury. He's coming off that injury. And he also he changed agents right before the offseason. He ended up going and hiring Scott Boras. And he's going to end up talking to all these different teams. And he has talked to the Giants. Like, the Giants do like Ha-Seong Kim. I don't know about the Dodgers. But one thing I have learned about the Giants this offseason, and talking to Buster Posey at the GM meetings, is they placed a pretty high priority on upgrading like the middle infield, or just up the middle defense overall. And if you can get a guy like Ha-Seong Kim, or if you can get a guy like Willy Adames in San Francisco, that would be a home run move. I don't necessarily know if they have the necessary funds to complete a deal, especially for a guy like a Willy Adames type, but I think those two are perfect fits for them. And I would firmly imagine the Giants will be in conversations with both those players as representatives. But going back to the Dodgers, it sounds like their priorities are just outfield and also the starting pitching. Those are the two things that I've heard the Dodgers connected to the most here this winter so far.
Speaking of outfield, Damian in the All-Star chat asked too if there is a certain player, position group that's moving quickly, and I think specifically Teoscar Hernandez was the thought there. So I know Jeff Passan had Hernandez as someone the Yankees like if they lose Soto. I don't think that's, good job by Jeff Passan, but I don't think that's going to help the Yankees much, because it does feel like Teoscar Hernandez goes quickly to the Dodgers or Red Sox or Orioles. And I don't think the Yankees are going to be able to wait around till Juan Soto leaves. But curious about your thoughts there on fast movers and Teo specifically.
Yeah, I think Teoscar Hernandez could definitely, I think Passan's onto something there for sure. And there is interest in Hernandez for sure. I mean, how could there not be? And I give him and I give his representatives a ton of credit last year because he had multi-year interest, but he wanted to be a Dodger last year. And he ended up taking a 1-year contract. He bet on himself in hopes of getting a really strong multi-year deal the following year. And he put up one of the best years of his career. He was awesome for the Dodgers. I don't know if they win the World Series without him. To me, he was an instrumental part of that run. And he made it clear at the parade. He made it clear after the World Series that he really wants to return to LA. And that if the money's close, that he would probably end up doing it. But there will be competition for his services. As you said, I can't imagine he is going to end up signing after Juan Soto unless something changes. So to me, you look at the Dodgers, you look at the Red Sox as a possible option. I think that they had interest last year. I think that's pretty well documented. And that interest was indeed real. They just were not, their offer was not strong enough, obviously. The Orioles make sense. There should be other teams in there as well. I do think that the Blue Jays could make some sense, and that's just my own speculation because they need a power bat. And he's obviously played in Toronto. Previously, they ended up moving him, which did not necessarily work out.
Easy jersey swap if anybody wants to jump on that. Yeah.
Nah, see, exactly. But to me, he could be a guy who moves quick. I don't know of anything that's imminent right now by any means. I'm not saying it's going to happen tonight or tomorrow. But he could be one of the first bigger names that comes off the board this winter.
You go mega viral on Blue Sky right now with a hot Teoscar Hernandez jersey swap to the Jays. That's all I'm saying. Let's go to the end. Earlier question: are you guys moving to Blue Sky? I'm there. You can find me. Am I interesting on Blue Sky? I don't know, but I am there.
You're always interesting. Don't sell yourself short.
I'm going to keep selling myself short. No, I'll sell myself high. Like Teo entering the market after winning the World Series as a cleanup hitting star after the 3 best players in baseball. Let's go to the comments, the chat. David Garcia, anything on the Diamondbacks? I want to use this to talk about Jordan Montgomery too, who, found himself disparaged by Diamondbacks leadership and then opted in to his player option as a little bit of he drew a middle finger and slid it across the table. I think he goes, here's my contract decision. I sketched out a middle finger in pencil. What do you guys think about that? But the rumor still says that he is going to get dealt. So I'm curious what the Diamondbacks have cooking and whether that's sort of the first domino to fall.
I do expect Jordan Montgomery to get traded this offseason, and the writing was kind of on the wall after Ken Kendrick's comments about him. That was one. So I've been in baseball now for about 10 years, and I can confidently say I have never seen a response in baseball quite like that in my entire life. Like I remember I saw the comments on Twitter. I think it was one of the Arizona radio guys tweeted it after he ended up getting the quote from Kendrick. And I thought it was fake. I thought I was following a fake account. And then I realized it was real. And I was just absolutely blown away by what I was reading. And all of a sudden I had agents, I had other executives, I had GMs. I mean, I had all sorts of different people in my DMs. And I was stunned. And to me, it was obvious that he was going to end up accepting that player option, but that marked the end of his time in Arizona. That I think there's no other possible solution. There's no coming back from that whatsoever. The Diamondbacks will probably have to eat some of that contract for sure in order to facilitate a trade, but that was about as damning as it gets. And I'd be really surprised if Montgomery ended up returning to Arizona next year after that. And really surprising and really unfortunate. I give Mike Hazen credit for taking the high road because he was asked about it right after Ken Kendrick made those comments, and he handled that about as well as anyone could have, which is not surprising because Hazen's one of the most classy guys in baseball. Yeah. But another one that I want to address here too is from Ryan Pizer. Good question here about Garrett Crochet. Do I expect him to get moved quickly? I would say I'm not going to give a time frame, but I think the White Sox will move him this winter. I think there's interest from plenty of teams already. There's a huge need for starting pitching around the league, and the White Sox have him controlled at a really cheap price for the next couple of years. It makes no sense to me whatsoever for them to hold on to him and possibly risk him getting hurt during the spring training or even the regular season. They did a similar thing with Dylan Cease last year where they're like, oh, we'll hold him. And all of a sudden opening day got closer. And I found out that a deal was very close. and then he ended up getting traded to the San Diego Padres. So I think Crochet, in all likelihood, has probably pitched his last game with the Chicago White Sox. Chris Getz should be in position to get a pretty big haul. I will never say never. I mean, there's a chance that he could end up staying with the White Sox come opening day, but I would be really surprised if that was a result as of this point.
Let's go to the NL Central too. Kyle Rademacher asking if we can get some Cardinals updates on maybe Arenado or Helsley. I would love to see some of that heat up at the winter meetings personally. And we've got Hunter Miser, also an all-star in the Discord. Join the all-star channel, asking for Cubs updates. So it feels like a good time to tackle both Cards and Cubs. I know there's not much Cubs movement since the Cody Bellinger decision, but any thoughts on either of those teams?
Yeah, I think the Cubs will spend, or they'll be active in free agency. I just have not heard them connected to a guy like Juan Soto. I know that's going to really upset a lot of Cubs fans, and that should. When you spend as much money as you did on Craig Counsell to get him, you think, and plus also the Cubs are a big market team. It's not like we're talking about a small market team. They're a huge market team, and we are not hearing them connected to Juan Soto or any of these real big free agents. So to me, I think what Counsell really thrived at in Milwaukee was maximizing stuff with pitching and also with defense. And if you can add another starter or two, if you can also add to that bullpen, which I think he needs far more options than he had this past season, I think those got to be some priorities. And they also got to upgrade the offense as well. So they'll have to be busy. They will be busy. I just don't expect a big move from Chicago unless something changes there. Let me think. The Cardinals was the other one. Sorry, that was loaded before. As far as the Cardinals go, I think any player with a big contract is going to be fair game in trade talks, and I would not be surprised if they moved. I wouldn't be surprised if they moved Nolan Arenado. I think that makes a lot of sense for them to consider. But also, if you can end up getting him moved to a different team that is in need of a third baseman, I think that'd make a ton of sense and clear some payroll, and also open up some opportunities for some young guys, because that's the theme of the offseason here in St. Louis is giving these young guys a chance and really trying to take a step back and develop that young core. I think that is a real priority for them this year. I wouldn't call it necessarily rebuilding. The Cardinals get upset when you call it rebuilding, but more like resetting. I think that is the theme of it. And that's why any player with a big salary on that team is going to be fair game. And I also wonder if a guy like Sonny Gray could end up getting some trade talk too, because he's signed to a big multi-year deal. He's a very good pitcher. I think he could absolutely be someone who teams call about. I have not heard anything on my end, but that is one that I think makes a ton of sense.
Just to wrap this up, and I think we're going to do probably even heavier leaning on the Q&A Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week. So get your questions into the All-Star chat, get them in the comments. It's just, this is the time of year when Q&A just goes wild and you have to pick and choose, but we're going to do less picking and choosing next week. We're going to just basically start Q&A from the jump. Jimmy Tom Reddle asked what names we're hearing with the Yankees first base. Is Rizzo on the table or is he gone? We addressed that in a recent show, basically saying probably the end of the line for Rizzo. Also, Yankees stuff, kind of just tough to talk about free agent fits before they land on Juan Soto. We had a comment earlier asking why we're just doing the Jays and the Red Sox and not touching on the Mets and Yankees for Juan Soto. I think the reasoning there is basically we know the Yankees and Mets are going to get the last words on Juan Soto and are going to be in on Juan Soto, and now it's up to these other teams to upset the apple cart. I mean, that's my take and why I structured the show this way, but if you feel differently, let me know. And then Giants meeting with Soto from Sports Glory. We talked about including that in the show, but weren't sure whether the Giants were meeting with Juan Soto, as I understand.
Yeah. First, I want to address something, because I'm seeing people aggregating something about Teoscar Hernandez with me. I'm Boston Sports Gordo. I was talking about teams that have been reportedly linked to Hernandez. That is not my own dope. I believe that was reported from Passan and some others. So I want to make that abundantly clear. That is not my own info.
Yeah, that's in the Passan column on ESPN that ran this week.
Yeah. So not to call you out or anything, but I also want to make sure that I'm like linked to the stuff that I report. So going back to the Yankees stuff, I can't say I've heard anything really there as of this point. I mean, I think Juan Soto is just their top priority at this point.
They got outbid for Justin Wilson, so that's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the only thing I've really heard with them is just Juan Soto talk. And what was the other part? Oh, the Giants' part as well.
Yeah.
So as far as this one goes, there's been dueling reports from John Heyman and also Jason Stark about the Giants potentially have a meeting with Soto. I don't necessarily know. I don't think he has a meeting with the Giants lined up quite yet, but that does not necessarily mean that they're out. I think being out it's way too early for that point. I think it's always been unlikely for the Giants to have the funds necessary to complete a deal like that. Cause, it's just, I'm skeptical of that, but, I also think the Giants, if you look at their previous history, they have gone after Aaron Judge. They've gone after, all these other stars. They've come up empty. Carlos Correa. I mean, they had Carlos Correa for a cup of coffee, and then they failed his physical. But to me, I think it would make a lot of sense for the Giants to be involved in that. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up having those conversations with Boris by any means, but I don't think they're out. I also don't think their chances of getting Soto are realistic. So that's currently where I'm at with that. I do think the Giants will spend, as I said before. I think up the middle defense and getting a guy like Ha-Seong Kim or even a Willy Adames type. I swear I'm going to give my Willy Adames pitch for these teams right now. I have been around, I would say, a fair amount of players. I've been around a fair amount of clubhouses and interacted with plenty of people. I don't necessarily know if I've ever been around a player who has been more universally respected than Willy Adames in clubhouses. He is someone that the Brewers absolutely love. They had plenty of different opportunities the previous offseason to move Adames. There was a bunch of teams that were trying to trade for him. They had some really enticing packages, and they decided to hold on to him because they viewed him as too important for their culture. They wanted to have him around some of their young guys, and they wanted one more year of competing. And they obviously believed that having Adames was the right time to hold on to Adames and try to compete. And that was the right decision. But he was extremely valuable for a guy like Jackson Churrio's development. There was others that played a part in Churrio's development for sure. But when Churrio ended up getting called up, or when he started with the Brewers at the major league level, the one thing that I had heard was that he was kind of overwhelmed and he was kind of trying to figure things out. Adames took him under his wing. He was instrumental in getting him right, getting him settled, and allowing him to maximize his abilities. And it's not just Jackson Churrio that Adames has had that impact with. It was plenty of others in Milwaukee. To me, if you want to change your culture and if you want to add an impact leader in your clubhouse, I think Adames is the guy. He is the guy, and he'd also be a great player for you on the field because he's coming off of a really strong season in Milwaukee. That's my sales pitch about Adames. I am very high on him for obvious reasons. If you want to improve your ball club, go sign Willy Adames. Thank you very much. That is my pitch for the day. That is my pitch.
And if you want to improve your life, come back to the Baseball Insiders on Monday, 3:30 Eastern. We'll be right back here. Have your questions locked. Come to the All-Star Chat. You get priority, but come to the comment section in the chat on this YouTube stream. We'll get as many views as we can. Appreciate everybody joining us today. Big show. It'll be 3 big shows next week. A reminder, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. A lot to get used to, but set your watch to subscribe, turn your notifications on. There's no better way to get the info you need than hitting all of those buttons in succession. Then you'll know exactly.
I got to go. I got a phone call.
Yeah, we are signing off. For Robert Murray, I am Adam Weinrib. Take care. Be good. We'll see you next Monday, everybody.